Ready? Yeah. Hello, everyone. I am here with the wrestling coach, Babak, of both Anthony Johnson, who you can't see behind me, and Vitor Belfort. When you are a coach of two guys fighting on the same night, is it hard to divide your attention? And if anything, let's say one guy wins or one guy loses, does it screw you up going forward, or do you just wipe it clean and go to the next?
Well, to answer your question, my main focus is a lot on him, on Anthony Johnson, because Vitor is lighter. And in the past, I trained Vitor to fight AJ. If you remember, they had a fight. So I trained him for a couple of months for the fight against Anthony Johnson. But now this time around, yeah, I help him out a little bit with a couple of technical stuff. Plus, he has another wrestling coach too. But I'm a same size like Cormier. So we build the same. Plus, he has a Greco collegiate freestyle background, so do I. And we know each other well, me and Cormier. So I can read him pretty well. When it comes to the focus, night fight, of course, if first guy goes, he loses, you don't want to carry it on to the second guy. You have to drop it right there. Did I answer your question?
Yeah.
All right.
Okay, when you learn jiu-jitsu, you learn sport jiu-jitsu. That does not work in a fight. People start doing berimbolo, now as a wrestler, outside of when you shoot, not putting your head on the outside so you get caught in guillotine, what are the things that you have to change going from a collegiate or a Greco-Roman? What are the things you have to change so MMA is more geared towards wrestling?
Well, that's the biggest problem a lot of wrestling coaches do have. They don't update themselves. You have to think about striking. Our worst enemy is the striking department before I shoot, so it's all about timing. You cannot go think, hey, if I shoot, I'm going to get hit, because that's never going to happen.
Are the takedowns the same, everything's the same, or you have to adapt?
This is my advice to people. On your feet, you should be like a freestyle wrestler. They're much more technical, like Cormier is. Once you hit the ground, you could be like collegiate wrestling. They're very good on keeping people down. And with one hand, with the other hand, you could punch. I did all those styles, so when I think about it, I could mix them up pretty good. And sometimes, especially with Cormier, he has throws too. He has some Greco stuff there too, so he gets in the clinch and he tries to throws you. So you have to think about striking, of course. But once you have a good timing and you set it up good, like GSP, no problem.
Now you're in a straight wrestling match, it's always hips. You gotta move forward with your hips, you gotta control their hips. Is it the same in MMA, or are you trying to isolate the upper body, the lower body, or are you still going for the core for control?
Well, the hips is the center of gravity. You take that out, the guy goes down. You don't want to shoot too high, because going against these Russian Sambo guys, they're gonna throw you. That's why a lot of girls make a mistake fighting Ronda Rousey. All those girls, they shoot on her coming high up, and she throws them. If they shoot low, around the knees, she could never throw them. So these are the things you have to think of, when you do that.
Now, American wrestling versus European, like Russia, they have this very, counter, and America has that very spastic. What works best, do you think, and what needs to be improved on going forward? Like a mix of the two styles, or?
Collegiate wrestling is more brute. It's like strength, power. You're not that much technical. Like, look at all these guys, Bader, who's the guy who fought Rashad? Davis. Rashad took him down 5 times, and Davis is the NCAA champion. Rashad is more technical. On your feet, you should be like freestyle wrestlers. That's what you see in Olympic. They're much more technical. They have a better timing. They get in, they get out. But on the ground, you want to be brute. You want to maul people down, get them tired. Collegiate wrestling is good there. A lot of rules in freestyle wrestling, Greco, on the ground doesn't help. You don't want to gut wrench a guy. It doesn't give you any points. So on your feet, 100%. Move like a freestyle wrestler.
And going forward, you're starting to see Chael Sonnen compete in Metamorphs. You're starting to see. Do you think that's good that wrestlers are competing in jiu-jitsu tournaments? Or are they missing certain tools, and that's why they're getting caught in submission? Also, he's a purple belt, not a black belt. But do you think it's good that it makes wrestling look good that you have guys competing in jiu-jitsu matches against jiu-jitsu guys? Because they lose and everyone goes, oh, wrestling's no good. He shouldn't have. It's a jiu-jitsu match.
Yeah.
It's a jiu-jitsu guy.
You have to remember, if you ask me, any MMA fighter, they should build like wrestlers. If you look at all sports, I mean, flexibility, athleticism, strength, conditioning, mental aspect, wrestlers are number one. That's why you see in each weight class, the top contenders, the wrestlers. Even the guys coming up behind the champions are wrestlers. So they could compete in any sport they want. They do well. I mean, I know wrestlers, they do bodybuilding. After 2 years, they place. I know wrestlers, they do this cross fitness, what do you call it? They do well there too. So circuit training. We have a lot of plyometrics. And most of all is the mental aspect. You know, they measure at the Olympics, the level of athleticism, all that. Wrestlers number one.
Now, as a wrestler, wrestlers have that forward. But you know, you watch a fight and you see a guy break, and you can see him, and he wants out. He might not admit it, but you see. How is it that a wrestler, is it just because of constant training, they never take their foot off the gas and it's always pressure? How can a fighter, an up-and-coming fighter, develop that pressure?
Well, especially in college, you put a lot of pressure. I know I'm Iranian. The Iranian national team these days, they do the same thing. They put a lot of pressure, but for that you need to be really, really good shape. There's a lot of hand fighting too in wrestling, which you don't use much in MMA. But once you grind people against the cage, that's when it gets to the picture. I see a lot of people with different background. They cannot do that, you know. So you grind people out, you're gonna win 100%. Like you said, you feel it when the guy's giving up. It's like you feel it, you know. 2-3 shots.
It's like an invisible thing, but you.
Exactly.